Okay, I'm going to go ahead and remove this tubing here in the front. You've got three. There's a 10 millimeter here, there's a 10 millimeter here, and there's a 10 millimeter here. You remove those, and you see there's it's kind of hooked in here. It's kind of hooked in here like that. So you just slide that right on out. And that piece comes right on off. I'm just going to toss that down there, and that's going to leave all this here exposed so I can see what's going on here. Okay, so it's explaining here you have to move that AC line, which is, you can see going across right there, and you have to modify this bracket. You see the clip here is on the front, and you can either put the clip to where it's inside the bracket there, or it's like they're showing here, or you can put it on top like they did here. Doesn't matter, it's just got to move the radiator, I'm sorry, the AC line. That's what I'm actually referring to. It's going into the radiator. You have to move that back an inch to an inch and a quarter, and they say this is common with pretty much all the winch installs. So we're going to go ahead and modify that. Okay, so I drilled a hole there for the new clip right here. It's 9/32 drill bit. I'm going to shoot that with some rust converter, just you know, just because I have it off, might as well just shoot it, and I'll put that back in. Okay, so what I did was I modified this, and instead of putting that clip on the bottom like I was going to do initially, I flipped it over and put it on the top. And that moved that pipe back a bit. That allowed the pipe to be bent the least amount. So now all I've got to do now is just take off the old bumper, and then we'll be installing the new. Okay, I got the bumper off. 14 millimeter bolts there. Now I'm going to take all these ones off here, and we'll be good to go. Okay, so I'm ready to start putting this back together. I kind of shot my my factory points there red, just to make them a little bit more visible. There's always seems to be a question of if those are actually toe points or are they just factory tie downs. I'm going to go and say this. I looked at the Trail Team's videos, which talk about recovery and different aspects of the FJ. Trail Teams is hired by Toyota to make these videos to demonstrate the abilities of the FJ Cruiser. Now, I've seen on those videos the Trail Teams guys do a snatch recovery, and they are using these points. So even though it is said that Toyota won't officially go on record and say that these are recovery points, Trail Teams did it, and Toyota didn't say not to do it. So I imagine somebody at Toyota would have seen that video. Now you can see how these are as thick as my finger, if not thicker, if not a little thicker than my finger. So I mean, these are bulky welded points. Somehow I just don't think these are just factory tie downs. Anyway, I painted them, and now I'm going to go ahead and put on the bumper. Okay, so it took a few seconds to figure it out. They didn't actually go into it when they explained it. However, understanding what they were saying, the wording of the sentences is they kept referring to the clamping power. So I said, well, how would that clamp? And I figured out it would clamp by putting that bumper on first, and then putting on the plate. Now you're clamping it between the bumper and the frame here. Between the bumper and the frame. It's getting clamped in between these two pieces. So that's exactly how it goes on. Now, the other thing I want to point out is when we had to move this hose, you'll see here, right there, where there's a possibility it could hit. So I'm just going to bend that back a little bit right there. They say to put a hose, I just put a clear hose over the top of that to protect that. So now I'm ready to rock with this. I'll start putting this all back together. It comes with these bolts and washers here, and on the bumper you've got these wings that go down the side here, and you can actually see there's a factory hole here where these bolts will go in. That's your 19 millimeter, I believe. So that's where these will go. Okay, so now that I've got those two on the side on, they're snug. They're not all the way tight. I'm going to put on the 8 bolts here on the front, and I'm going to tighten these bolts to 40 foot-pounds. The ones on the 2 on the sides are going to go to 60 foot-pounds. Alright, so that completes the first portion of putting on the bumper.